Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. What the next president should do to save the USA. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Many Americans, myself included, are getting tired of the stale rhetoric by politicians on both sides. The harsh truth is, most of what they say will never happen. That's why people are so angry, because the words disappear after the votes are cast. The next president will be facing complex problems that have been festering for years. First, income inequality. Working Americans not getting ahead. That's been going on for decades. The reason is companies do not have to pay unskilled workers decent salaries because there's too much competition at that level. If you do not have a skill, are poorly educated, and are not willing to move to where the jobs are, you're in trouble. And millions of Americans find themselves in that very place. The solution to income inequality is not big government giveaways. Senator Sanders is peddling a myth. Income inequality can only be overcome by education. The next president has to level with the folks. You must learn a skill, and you must know how to conduct yourself in the marketplace. No tattoo on your forehead. Public schools receiving taxpayer money have to be revamped, totally revamped, emphasizing basic educational skills, basic math, reading, spelling, and you have to know how to write a sentence, and you have to know how to say it. And the high schools have to provide courses that are job targeted. Remember, SHOP. The crux of all this income business is an inability to compete. Public schools must deal directly with that. Now, the second thing the new president must do is mobilize NATO to defeat the jihad. That's long overdue as well. The most powerful military alliance on earth must confront Islamic terrorism and provide safe zones for refugees in places like Syria and Libya. Right now, the jihad's on the move in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. President Obama has dithered, allowing ISIS and other groups to grow stronger. It's got to stop. If some NATO countries won't cooperate, throw them out. Period. Finally, immigration and border security. There's no question a wall between the USA and Mexico is needed simply to stop the tons of hard narcotics flowing into America. The drug cartels control much of Mexico, and that's not likely to improve anytime soon. We need to stop the madness down there and secure our border. A wall will not solve every problem, but it can be effective. As the Israelis have shown the world, it's worked over there. Once an effective barrier is built, illegal aliens currently living here can be dealt with in a fair way. They'll all have to register with the federal government, all of them. And then Congress should pass a series of new laws defining their status. Those who have broken immigration law are not entitled to citizenship. But we can be humane if they have kids who are American citizens, extended families, been here a long time. We can be humane and allow some of them to work off a punishment in return for a green card. So, those are the top three priorities for the new president. And now Talking Points has a very simple question. Do you believe any of the candidates could accomplish those things? And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction joining us from Washington, Charles Krauthammer. And you say?
Well, I think you've got the general idea right. But I do think the problem with stagnant wages is not inequality. I know that's what Sanders and many liberals focus on. I don't think people necessarily care that there are people up there making a lot of money. What they care is, are they making enough? Are they keeping up? And that, I think, has been the problem. If you are able to end the wage stagnation, then I think people aren't going to talk about inequality. And to do that, a couple of things. I agree with you. Education is absolutely necessary. I don't think the public schools will ever achieve what you are advocating.
Force them to.
Because it is control. The way to do it is school choice.
Yes, the voucher thing is fine. I understand it.
Yeah, but you got to do it on a massive scale.
The federal government provides, it's almost like sanctuary cities. The federal government provides direct money to some, perhaps most, public schools. A, every kid should be wearing a uniform. B, the curriculum has to be changed to basically have the 3 R's right there in a testing system, not Common Core, all right, just basics. And then C, these shop courses, these courses in electronics, high tech have to be offered. And if they don't, Charles, you cut their money off. You starve them to death.
Look, I don't disagree.
That's
but
how you do it.
You are not going to be closing public schools unless you offer an alternative. The reason that none of this is happening, the teachers union have a stranglehold. What counts in the teaching profession is seniority, not expertise,
but a president
not energy.
Can't break the union. They
The only
can't
way
break it.
to do it is to create competition so people flow to the other schools, charter or private.
Okay, and I agree with that. And perhaps
So-
if a Republican is elected
Well,
president,
that's why
and they
we
have
should
the
elect
two
her.
bodies are Republicans, Democrats will never support that.
Of course not,
Never.
but we're talking about what the country ought to do. And this is an argument for electing conservatives. Now, the other part of this is that if you can't narrow inequality, what you can do is raise everybody's standard of living, as we have done until recently, since the Second World War, by expanding the pie. Growth is 2%. At 2%, we are never going to help the
No, I
working
understand
class
that,
or
but
working
still,
poor.
the pie has to
But
be
let me
eaten by
tell you
people
how
who
to
know
do
how to
it.
chew. Look, I'm telling you, Trump is saying, okay, I'm going to bring back these jobs from China and Mexico and all that. He's never going to do that. That's never going to happen. All right? It's a totally different economy, and the mill economy in New England and the steel economy in Michigan is never coming back, no matter what he does, no matter how he rattles a saber. But training in high tech and the new innovative industries that we lead the league in here, that we have the best and the brightest here, training in those, that will wipe out much of this
Bill,
inequality.
I don't disagree, and I'm certainly not a Trumpite when it comes to this promise to bring back jobs, to make the Chinese spit them back to us. The way to go about expanding the pie, yes, you have to have the education. Yes, you have to have training. Yes, you have to have the basics. But why does that exclude what we absolutely need to do, and that what we did in 1986, which is we have to clean the tax code because it works against industry, it works against innovation, and it
I
is
agree with that
obscenely
100%.
unfair.
I agree
We
with
have
that.
crony capitalism, we have cutouts, we have political favoritism that corrupts the system. Every 20 years, we have to clean the barnacles off the ship. Because for 20 years, we've been accumulating all these special interests. You wipe them away, you get 1986, which was followed by 20 years of growth, almost uninterrupted.
1986 tax
That's got to
code,
be
you mean?
done. The
Tax
reform
code.
of the tax
Right.
code was done in
Right.
86. Now we're 20 years in.
We have to do it
We
again.
have to do it 30 years in.
Right.
And we have to do it. We
All
are
right.
long overdue.
We're going to hold Charles over, of course, against his will. But we've locked the doors. He can't get out of the Washington studio. And we want to talk about why conservative Americans, are split on Donald Trump. Very interesting phenomenon. So conservative media voices and politicians split on Trump, even on this news channel. Do you see any pattern in support or dissent, or is it random?
I don't know if there's a pattern. I don't know if I can identify a personality type. But I would say, generally speaking, people who are truly committed to conservatism as a cause, rather than the Republican Party as a vehicle, have been resisting coming on board Trump for the simple reason that he's not a conservative. Now, there are others who have now signed on, who are conservative, and I'm assuming, because here I'm projecting, because I'm not one of them, but if you're asking me to speak on their behalf, they believe either that he's malleable, or that if they can climb on board the Trump train, they will have influence, and they will steer him into conservatism.
All right, but I'm more interested in the cult of personality in this segment. So this is fascinating. So you got a guy like Glenn Beck, all right, can't stand Donald Trump. And he's very conservative, very constitutional, doctrinaire. Another guy on radio, Michael Savage, very conservative, loves Donald Trump. All right, and then varying degrees in and out of that crew. On the political front, you've got Chris Christie from New Jersey, a moderate governor. He supports Donald Trump, as we know. And then you have on the other side, Senator Ben Sasse from Nebraska, another conservative, he doesn't want anything to do with Trump. I mean, it's just Lindsey Graham hates Trump. But Governor Paul LePage of Maine, another conservative guy, loves Trump. So I can't really process this. I even here when I watch the individual shows, you know, Bowling loves Trump. You don't like him. I don't know how we get there at all.
Well, I object to the use of the word hate. I don't hate anybody.
No, I said you don't like him.
Well, no, I don't like him, but it's not a matter of liking.
All right,
Donald
politically
Trump.
you don't support him.
If he wanted to have a beer, play golf, anything, he'd be a great guy. The question is, do I want him to be president of the United States?
You don't support him.
Well, because I think he wouldn't be a good president. I think he'd be a terrible president.
But why do you think that? And then a guy like Bowling, who, you know, is promoting Trump. I see. There's something about Trump that I think alienates people on a very emotional level. Would I be wrong saying that?
No, I'm not sure it's emotional. I think it has to do with two things. One is ideology. There are people who don't particularly care about his positions. I'm not even sure anyone knows his positions. Have you got any idea what Trump's position is on the H-1 visas? Do you think even Trump has any idea what his position is?
On which? On the
H-1B visas.
The visas to get educated people in here?
Yeah, he took 3 positions in one night in the debate.
He favors that.
Well,
I know all his positions. If you want to know anything about him, come to me. I know every position that he holds.
You know his position on people being deported?
Yeah, he says he's going to deport 12 million.
Yeah, he says.
He says.
And you think he's going to. And then after he deports them.
He's not going to deport them.
He's going to go, but this is what he says.
But I explained to him why he couldn't, and I think he realizes that.
Oh, come on.
He says these things, and he wants to do them. He wants to do them, all right? But when faced with the reality of a federal court system, which is going to block him the first time he knocks on a door, what can he do? And he understands the system that he's going to be blocked. He knows it.
But the point is, when you're choosing a president, the only thing you have to go on is what he says. So he says he wants to deport 12 million people, and then he says that after he deports them, he wants to go through them and to find the really terrific ones.
But he's never even
He's going to have a department of terrificness, and they are going to examine all of these people. And the terrific ones are going to come back.
Look, Charles, you've been around long enough to know politicians say things.
I want to be head of that department.
Politicians say things to mobilize support. And then they say, you know, once I get the power, then I'll deal with it. So I want to do it. I'm sincere in saying I want to do it, and I'll find a way. And then they get in there and look at Barack Obama as the best example. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And he does bupkis other than the health care.
Bill, one segment ago, you introduced it by saying how politicians say stuff, and when the votes are counted, everything disappears into thin air.
Right.
Isn't that what you're saying that Trump is doing?
He wants to do what he says.
I want to fly. I want to sprout wings right now and fly.
All right.
But that's not what I'm running for if I'm running for president.
I understand and told Donald Trump to his face that the deportation of 12 million is never going to happen. All right? And millions of people heard and saw that. But they're still going to vote for Trump because they like his spirit. They like the sentiment. Last word.
I want you to be head of the Department of Terrificness. I think you'd be a wonderful guy for that.
I don't know. I'm not so
terrific. You
terrific.
Give up the show,
I'm not.
But you'd be you have a discerning eye for terrificness.
That's why you're on for 2 segments.
Absolutely.
Charles Granhammer, everybody.
I'm ready for a third.